Very good afternoon to you. Welcome to Monza for the first round of the Ferrari Challenge 2015. The first race for our TropheoPirelli category of cars and drivers who are making their way onto grid right now as we go on board with Alessandro Vezzoni here at Monza, the 5.7 kilometer circuit, which is the traditional start of the Ferrari Challenge season, which this year will take us from Monza to Mugello, then to Budapest, Paul Ricard, Imola, Valencia, and then the finale mondiale to come. There you can see the 2015 calendar. All the information, of course, at the website, which is corsaclienti.com. That's the way it looks for season 2015, and if it's anything like season 2014, we are in for a humdinger. So looking forward to it. The sun is shining here in Monza, as you can see, as the cars make their way onto the grid, including car number 84 there, Bjorn Grossman, making his way to the front row because he will start from P2. There is our circuit location then, Monza, just around about 45 minutes away from central Milan, I guess. And this is where we're at for round one for TropheoPirelli, about to get underway. So the front row, a lockout then between Bjorn Grossman and Babylos, who is a new driver into the Ferrari Challenge. There's the 5.7 kilometer circuit in full, including the three sectors there. And as you can see, 20 degrees, the air temperature, track temperature 33 degrees, a little bit of harmless high cloud around, but the sun continues to shine. There was talk of maybe a shower this afternoon. Certainly no sign of that at the moment, which is good to see. So as mentioned in the grid then, it's Babylos then who sets off from pole position, having done a blistering qualifying this morning to set himself up for P1 position on the grid. He was second in the GT Sweden series in 2014, raced in that in 2013 as well, and before that had some single-seater outings and Euro Formula 3000, so expecting good things from Babylos then in the Auto Roper car that goes from P1. Alongside him is Bjorn Grossman, who will be driving for the Octane 126 team, and he will go from P2, bringing the grid in full in just a few moments' time. But it is 19 cars out there on track ready to do battle, and there is Bjorn Grossman then who goes from P2 on the grid. And Bjorn Grossman, another successful driver that's been in the Ferrari Challenge for a while, and migrated to the Octane 126 team last year, got the opportunity for that drive and did very, very well. This is where we are then, Monza, for season 2015 opener. So a little postcard of our venue there here, the Autodromo Nazionale Monza, set in this beautiful national park here in Monza. Track which features 11 turns and is one of the most historic, of course, Monza. And great that the Ferrari Challenge has its opener here, as always. There is our pole sitter Babylos then, poised and ready to do battle from the very start of the pack. P1 for him, brilliant qualifying, sees him on pole position. Florian Merckx will go from P4 in the resplendent gold car there. The final words from engineers there for Florian Merckx. Let's take a look now at an onboard lap of this circuit.
Hello, my name is Bjorn Grossman. I'm coming from Germany and I'm driving the Ferrari Challenge TropheoPirelli for my team Octane 126. Welcome to Monza, the first race of the year. I'm happy to start here the challenge in this historic motorsport racetrack, and I love the food, I love the people, and I'm happy to stay here. Monza is a really high-speed track and really technical. I love to drive here because it's a lot of high speed on the straight and you don't have to miss the brake point. If you miss it, you will lose a lot of time, and I hope I don't will do it in the race. I am so happy to drive here with the 458 with the Evo kit. It's a big difference between the normal challenge because you have a really good braking and a really high corner speed. So in Monza it's really important because on the long straight you have a really short braking and a good turn in the fast corners. And now enjoy this fantastic weekend with this fantastic race series on this track and have a lot of fun with the amazing 458. I wish you good luck and a lot of fun for the race.
Cheers, Bjorn Grossman then telling it the way it is around this Monza circuit then. Bjorn Grossman from Obendorf, and there is the grid. You can see he starts from P2. Pole position, though, goes the way of Babylos, the Auto Roper driver. Dario Carzo, P3 for Rosso Corsa Pellin. Then it's Florian Merckx for Baron Service. Will go from P4 on the grid. P5, it's David Gosner, Anico MP Racing. Then it's Sagler, who will go from P6. Then Alessandro Vessoni, P7. Nelson is P8 with Joe Macari, and welcome to Joe Macari here. P9, Robert Pergel, P10. Ferrano is 11. Alexis Di Bernardi will run from P12. You can see the green and the red at the corner of the logos there, indicating whether they're pro drivers or AM drivers. Sturzinger from P13, then it's Earl, P14. Roca from P15, and David Gadri behind with Ramelli and Palker and Lukinov. So two categories of drivers within the TropheoPirelli, the AM drivers and the pro drivers, and the first 5 places on the grid reserved for those of pro drivers. And this, effectively, our pole position for the AM category is Andy Sagler. And the Style F driver is standing by. And there is David Gosner, who goes from P5 on the grid. We are just moments away from race 1 in season 2015. So TropheoPirelli race 1 about to get underway then. Bjorn Grossman, who took us for an insightful look around the Monza circuit. Would dearly like to take the championship this year. We go on board with Alessandro Vessoni. He's had a long history in the Ferrari Challenge as Bjorn Grossman, going back to 2007. Took second place in TropheoPirelli in 2008 at the Finale Mondiali, and equaled that in 2010 when he took second in the TropheoPirelli Europe overall. We're on board with Sturzinger, then Fortec Racing AM driver. That's what it looks like from the camera on board the car. And there the car's all set as we look back from the Hublot safety car at the grid assembled, ready for this 35-minute race. Race is extended for season 2015, 35 minutes in duration for these races. And 2 races across the course of the weekend, one on a Saturday, one on a Sunday, and qualifying for each of the races carried out on the same day as well. So Q1 was taken earlier today, and Q2, which will set the grid for race 2, comes up tomorrow. Yesterday in free practice, weather conditions somewhat different to what they are today. A lot of rain around as the Hublot safety car takes off, and the cars off the grid will follow shortly as the Hublot safety car takes in then the Variante del Rettifio, turns 1 and 2, the chicane. And off the cars go. All the social media up on the screen for you to check out the Ferrari Challenge. Lots of access for you to be able to do that, including, of course, the website at corsaclienti.com as well. So Bjorn Grossman then, the Octane 126 car. with the pink door mirrors, which Christian Bertschinger, the team boss, was telling me is to do with his wife. So that's why Bjorn Grossman is running those pink door mirrors. The rest of the cars come through then. This the formation lap before the 35-minute race gets underway. Interesting talking to one of the drivers just before the chicane that you've just seen the cars go through turns 1 and 2. There's a slight change in track surface on right in the braking area for that chicane, which caused some drivers a little bit of a problem. So the 458, as Bjorn Grossman was saying, it's the Evo version of the 458 with the front splitter and also the big rear wing. Makes these cars hugely, hugely fast. And a brilliant category on the World Motorsport stage. The Ferrari Challenge, been going for many, many years with great success. Saw Alessandro Vezzoni in the number 27 car, and there just coming into focus to the left of you picture is Dario Carzo, and there the all gold colours of Florian Merckx as he weaves from side to side. David Gosner right behind him. We're on board with Sturzinger, then the Wojtek Racing driver, the AM driver, Nicholas Sturzinger. It's only going through. Also going through is Martin Nelson, car number 13. Certainly not bothered about taking that number. And the Hublot safety car backs them up now. As they head down the back straight and will head towards the Parabolica. Rolling start for the Ferrari Challenge, TropheoPirelli and Copichel. Come to that. Safety car will peel off into the pit lane, and providing race control happy with the way that the cars are lining up, then they will be released and the 35-minute race will be underway. Babylos from pole, Bjorn Grossman alongside, then it's Dario Carzo. Expect Dario to be on a charge right from the very start. Then it's Florian Merckx, who's also looking very racy as well. Then it's David Gosner, and the first of the AM drivers to show in car number 32, Andreas Segler. So safety car peels off then. All eyes on the lights, which we throw up in caption to the top left of your screen. We're about to go racing for 2015 with the Ferrari Challenge, TropheoPirelli. The lights go green. Dario Carzo takes a look up the inside. Babylos has got it all his own way though. Bjorn Grossman will try and keep right alongside him, but look at this, Dario Carzo and Florian Merckx both looking to have a go. Bjorn Grossman could take the lead into the chicane if he can hold on to this. As already we see 2 or 3 cars having to shortcut. One goes turning around, another one is spun as well. And, well, as expected, the chicane always provides a bit of a bottleneck. I think they've all got around after their skirmishes and they're back out on the track. So Bjorn Grossman from P2 on the grid takes the lead from Babylos P3. Florian Merckx is P4. There is Florian Merckx going through. So it's Florian Merckx P3, then it's David Gosner P4. And here from on board you can see out on the loose stuff, very, very well controlled. But some behind, not able to hold on to those cars and ended up turning around. Dario Carzo gets past David Gosner and now elevates himself into P4. So Bjorn Grossman leads then and has led just about from the very off from Babylos P2. And that is our P2 driver started from pole position, taking a very different line to Bjorn Grossman around the Curva Grande. Beg your pardon, that was the Parabolica. So Bjorn Grossman now being tracked every step of the way by Bjorn Grossman. Babylos is going to go for a charge. Don't think he's quite close enough. The front end of that car really dips down on Bjorn Grossman's machine as he brakes very, very hard into that chicane. As now they head towards the Curva Grande here at Monza. Race 1 for TropheoPirelli. And now Bjorn Grossman is really under pressure. Heading up to turns 4 and 5 now. The Variante della Roggia. And he is right on the back bumper of Bjorn Grossman. And they're completely out of control. David Gadry not able to take that speed off at all. So Bjorn Grossman at the moment is still leading, but Babylos is giving him everything he can, and Dario Carzo from P4 doing the same on Florian Merckx ahead. So the Octane 126 driver, as now Dario Carzo goes through. So Carzo now is up to P3 and puts Florian Merckx down 1 position. Nicholas Sturzinger being warned about track limits through turn 10. To say throughout free practice and also qualifying, drivers being warned about respecting of track limits. So around the Parabolica, here comes the Octane 126 driver that is being hounded by Babylos, who started from P1 and lost the lead into the very chicane that they're braking for now. Don't think he's close enough to be able to make a move on Bjorn Grossman, who will try and make that Octane 126 car as wide as he possibly can. The one to really keep an eye on is going to be Dario Carzo, because his last lap was a full 5/10 quicker than the race-leading Bjorn Grossman. Dario Carzo, the man on a charge here. Bjorn Grossman, of course, having to drive with one eye on the rear-view mirror as well. And very soon, Babylos is going to be under pressure from the hard-charging Dario Carzo. He's P3. So the battle for P1 is really going to hot up. We're not even 5 minutes into this race yet. Florian Merckx in the gold colours there, P4. David Gosner is P5, then it's Nelson Pergel and Ferrano, Vezzoni and Roca, the top 10 positions. And the first AM driver to show down there, P6, is Martin Nelson. Alessandro Vezzoni, the inside of Ferrano. But forgive us for focusing on this battle. David Gosner runs really, really wide, the back of the picture there. So now I just wonder whether Babylos has realised that he is going to be within the clutches of Dario Carzo in a few moments' time. And has certainly eased up the challenge on Bjorn Grossman as Vezzoni's pit board is ready to be shown. Another lap completed then. Babylos lines up the Octane 126 car ahead of him. Octane 126 blocks and goes wide to make sure there's no chance for Babylos to have a go on the Octane 126 458. And every step of the way, Dario Carzo, who last lap to a 1:52.771. So another 5/10 quicker than Bjorn Grossman, who's leading. So Dario Carzo is really reeling them in now. And that was a very bold and ambitious move by Stephen Earle, which really didn't pay off. So Grossman, Babylos, and Dario Carzo. David Gosner being warned about track limits. We mentioned him going very, very wide at the back of the picture just a couple of seconds ago. And already the steward is on that. And look at the times between Babylos and Grossman. But the one to watch, really, is Dario Carzo. Because what he'll do, he'll very cleverly Just let these two fight it out. As Babylos takes a look on the inside, is there going to be contact? Wow, that was close. Well, Bjorn Grossman driving like an absolute demon, and so Dario Carzo is just letting these two fight it out between themselves, which of course is costing them time and allowing him to get ever closer. And he's there ready to just pick up any pieces. Waved yellows there from the instant we saw just a couple of moments ago. Robert Purgel there in car number 11, tucked in behind the Martin Nelson machine, car number 13. Robert Purgel, probably one of the longest standing members of the Ferrari Challenge pack, has been in it for a number of years. Very, very experienced as Carzo goes for a move now. It's blocked by Babylos. Will Carzo dive to the inside? Oh, and there was a little bit of a nerf there from Babylos on Bjorn Grossman, because he is being hounded by Dario Carzo. So the battle between these three continues to rage. And at the moment, Bjorn Grossman not putting a foot wrong. But when you look at the last lap times, by far and away, Dario Carzo, the quickest of the three. 1:54.052 for Grossman, last lap. 53.946 for Babylos. And a 53.290 for Carzo. Well, Joe Macari's debut in the Ferrari Challenge out, and it has to be said, through no fault of his own. Sees that car looking really rather second-hand now, the Style F Squadra Corsa car. Car at the front end squeals under the braking power of Bjorn Grossman. And on board from Bjorn Grossman, looking back at the hard-chasing Babylos, who in turn is being absolutely charged at by Dario Carzo. Although just for the moment, Carzo's challenge has gone off, but I think Carzo is playing a very sensible game here and just letting these two fight it out between themselves, and him ready to take advantage of that. As see a move on Vessoni there from Robert Purgel. So another lap completed then as they cross the timing line here at the Monza circuit. And what's happened to Dario Carzo is dropping like a stone. So a problem for Dario Carzo. So all of a sudden, Babylos can breathe a sigh of relief, because the charge from Dario Carzo, despite the fastest lap, he has just pushed the car too hard, and some kind of a problem for Dario Carzo, which sees that challenge go away. It worked very, very hard over the first few laps, so now it's all between these two at the front, Bjorn Grossman and Babylos. Dario Carzo dropping down the timing screen like a stone, and we could see him slowing on the start-finish straight. Down to P10 now, about to be taken by Alexis Di Bernardi. So Dario Carzo, there is the car stopped. So Carzo is out, the Rosso Corsa Pelin driver. What a shame, because he was absolutely driving so well. Let's find out what was wrong with that car, but his challenge for the podium over now, that's for sure. So this was Vetsoni and Robert Purgel. See just how much speed is being carried through there. So ignore the scroll at the top. Florian Merckx is now P3. But these two are out on their race on their own, aren't they? Swapping lap times like you wouldn't believe. Last lap, 53.689, a 1:53.689. Safety car being deployed. Safety car is out. This really plays into the hands of Babylos now. Although after saying that, he couldn't be any more on the back of Bjorn Grossman than he is, and Florian Merckx is going to have to ease up. Well, of course it does. It brings Florian Merckx and David Gosner back into this lead battle, if you like, with the safety car having been deployed, I can only assume, for the Dario Carzo machine, which was parked up at the end, the exit of the pit lane. So some Super slow-mos here for you as Bjorn Grossman really wields that 458 around a chicane with Babylos following in every single wheel track. And this was Vezzoni who'd got very, very wide there. So we have the safety car out and the Dario Carzo machine. There's Dario leaning against the wall, very, very disappointed. Problem with that machine has caused his race to be curtailed much, much earlier than he thought. Really had high hopes of Dario Carzo getting right onto the potentially the top step of the podium, driving like an absolute star. So too is this man, Bjorn Grossman, who has had to defend very, very hard after taking the lead right at the start of the race. Going into turn one, managed to get the better of Babylos, who is P2. Safety car coming in this lap, as you can see on screen. Which means the race will be resumed, and the one that takes great advantage from that, if you like, is Florian Merckx. There's Alessandro Vezzoni. So lights out definitely on the safety car. And the cars continue to weave and try and keep some heat into those tyres. And here then the replay of the start, and you can see Florian Merckx and Dario Carzo both went wide to try and make up ground. Bjorn Grossman, though, got the absolute start on Babylos and saw him relegated to P2 from his P1 starting position. So there we're on board the Hublot safety car then, about to complete its stint out there on track, which will have brought them all closer together, though sadly not with Dario Carzo, whose car has given up the ghost, and Florian Merckx and David Gostner must now feel that they've been gifted the opportunity to get back on terms with the race-leading pair. And I do say pair because they've been virtually welded together since the start. Bjorn Grossman and Babylos. And that's the view back from the Bjorn Grossman car. And Babylos is with him every single step of the way. So Grossman floors it now. So too does Babylos as we go green once again. Florian Merckx was left by Babylos, but is now catching up. So Babylos going to take a look. Bjorn Grossman covers it. David Gostner has a look at Florian Merckx. But the 1, 2, 3, 4 all stay the same as they go through turns 1 and turn 2. So thankfully everyone through that chicane okay. David Gostner, though, he's got a problem now. Car number 50 is slowing. Gostner is out. And that was from P4. So Martin Nelson finds himself up to P4 now, the first of the AM drivers. Andreas Segler on the left-hand side there, and there is David Gostner, whose car is there he's going to retire it. Car is done and dusted. To the rear of the pack was Dusan Palkra. So it's as we were then with these two, who are absolutely neck and neck, between them nothing. So Bjorn Grossman and Babylos looking every single which way he can. Martin Nelson, the first of the AM drivers to show in P4 now. The 1, 2, 3, they're all pro drivers. And the battle between these two right at the front is, well, it's red hot and has been since the very, very off, punctuated by that safety car for the retirement of Dario Carzo. And Babylos is really just harrowing Bjorn Grossman and hoping that he will make a mistake. Well, Bjorn Grossman, the German, is a cool, collected character. I don't very often see him make mistakes. So over the timing line they go once again. Vezzoni, his pit board being shown. P2 indicating that he is P2 in the AM category. And Babylos has done it. He goes through. No, he doesn't. Both of them, neither of them can make it. Well, there will be an argument there that the move will stick. because neither of them made the chicane, therefore there was no advantage necessarily gained by Babylos. Well, I'll keep an eye on the message board on our timing screen, but I think that will stay the same. I think everything will stay as was. So that was how Babylos made the move then down the start-finish straight. Was always going to struggle to scrub the speed off. Here it is in replay. They are side by side, door mirrors virtually touching together. The car squirms under braking. And Florian Merckx, another one that took an unorthodox way around the turn 2 and 3 very anti-chicane. So I think the move that Babylos made will stick. Being told that cars 27, 66, 73 and 13 all got to report after the session to the stewards. That is Vezzoni and Alexis Di Bernardi and Stephen Earle and also Martin Nelson. Well, I don't think Bjorn Grossman was caught napping. I think Babylos just set that up really on the previous lap. And whilst he couldn't make the chicane, nor could Bjorn Grossman. And Bjorn Grossman goes for another attack now. This isn't over, and I don't think this is going to be over until the checkered flag flies between these two. Now, the only thing that I just wonder is whether Babylos, having worked those tyres so very hard, whether when we get into the final 5 minutes or so of this race, whether Bjorn Grossman's tyres, whether he will have just maybe looked after them a little better. I don't know. But through turns 1 and 2 they go. Florian Merckx is on for a podium as well at the moment because he sits in P3. So it'll be first 3 overall will be pro drivers, then it will be Martin Nelson and Vezzoni. They were both AM drivers. You can see just how much lock is piled on to try and make that turn. So Alessandro Vezzoni then, the car that we're watching ahead of him is Martin Nelson in car number 13. There is Alessandro Vezzoni, and it is the battle for the first position in the AM category. And that is almost as close now as it was between Bjorn Grossman and Babylos earlier on. Lights being flashed furiously, as you can see, further back down the order. As this battle rages, so as I explained right at the start of the race, there are 2 categories of driver in each TropheoPirelli race, the AM drivers and the pro drivers. The 1, 2, 3 at the moment overall are all pro drivers, but then the next 2 are AM drivers. That's these 2. Alessandro Vezzoni in the red and black car, and then the beautiful blue and gold livery of car number 13, Martin Nelson, who is currently P1 in AM, but P4 overall. Under 15 minutes left of this race to run. Race punctuated by a safety car brought about by Dario Carzo's car, giving up the ghost, and there the last lap, as you can see, virtually nothing between them. And still Vezzoni not able to find a way past Martin Nelson. Nelson cleaner and tighter through the exit of turn 2 as they head towards turn 3. We're on board with Alessandro Vezzoni now around the Curva Grande here at Monza. Absolutely flat out in this 458 Evo. The brakes absolutely screaming under protest as they go through turns 4 and 5, Variante della Roggia, and head up to Lesmo 1, which is actually turn 6. And here a super slow-mo then of car number 48, David Gadri, attacking the curbs. And, well, as you can see, when you take too much speed, just sometimes. Christian Hobone watching on there, one of the Copachel drivers. And on the pit purchase, guys all looking at the timing screens, as well, of course, as the race feed. But Babylos is leading now, and I have to say, he looks pretty comfortable out there. Last lap, he was 3/10 quicker than Bjorn Grossman. But I don't think Bjorn Grossman will give up without a fight yet. Still another 13 minutes to run, and just bear in mind what I said earlier about time management and whether Grossman will perhaps be in a better position in the later stages of this race. But of course he's got to stay with him to have any hope of being able to take any advantage of that. Alexis Di Bernardi goes straight on at turn 4. The second of the chicanes, but managed to carry on. So out front then it is Babylos, Grossman and Merckx, the 1, 2, 3. And in the AM categories you can see it's Nelson, then Vezzoni, then Roca and Alexis Di Bernardi. Florian Merckx, the gold number 88 car, P3. And Vezzoni there unable to make that turn and goes straight on. Mentioned earlier that stewards have been watching each and every move by each and every car, and reports back from marshals and such like, and track limits have been punished, and we saw that punished in qualifying where drivers' fastest laps were taken away if it was deemed that they'd not stayed within the track limits. Well, last time around, Babylos was 10th slower than Bjorn Grossman, so at the top end of the pack, the battle is still between them. So just as I mentioned track limits, so Alessandro Vezzoni gets warned with regards to track limits, particularly at turn 4, that Variante della Rocha chicane. So Florian Merckx, and then we see Martin Nelson and Alessandro Vezzoni, the back end of them there as they make their way up the start-finish straight. And just look how Babylos has been able to pull away from Bjorn Grossman, a 1.3 second margin between the two of them now. And he was 152.932 for Grossman last time around, a 153.679. A 152.932 for Babylos and a 153.679 for Bjorn Grossman, and that's why there is a 1.3 second margin between the two of them right at the front of the pack now. Closer than that is Martin Nelson and Alessandro Vezzoni, that's for sure. And that was one of Alessandro Vezzoni's attempts going into the chicane, wasn't able to make it stick. You can see the number 13 car of Martin Nelson ahead. So these two battling, of course, not only in the race overall, but in the AM category honours as well, for which there are separate podiums for the pro drivers and also for the AM drivers. We've got under 10 minutes left to race in this, the first of the 2015 season for the Ferrari Challenge. And the TropheoPirelli drivers, as there's a pirouette from Alexis Di Bernardi, the Kessel Racing driver. It's a donut and a half, really. I'd like to see quite how that started, but he was turned around and in the wrong direction, that's for sure. But he's back and pointing in the right direction now, but that's where it all went wrong. I don't know if there was a little touch there from Andreas Seigler, but that's why Alexis Di Bernardi was pointing in the wrong direction. We're on board with Alessandro Vezzoni now. Some of these fantastic images that we're able to bring you in the Ferrari Challengers. Once again, he just dives right in behind the Martin Nelson car, but of course he's taken a lot more out of his tyres than Nelson is. Nelson is just able to drive fairly comfortably at the moment. He knows, of course, that he's got Vezzoni chasing him, but he is able to control it, as indeed right at the front now is Babylos, whose margin between himself and P2 driver Bjorn Grossman has increased to 1.6 now, following the last completed lap. Meantime, the closest battle on track is this one, and it's between the two AM drivers, Martin Nelson and Alessandro Vezzoni, who are chasing for the honours of taking P1 in the AM category. And at the moment, Martin Nelson is in that position, being chased hard, though, by Alessandro Vezzoni, the two AM drivers here. Behind them, it's two pro drivers, the long-standing Robert Purgel, the Ferrari Challenge stalwart, and behind Pergol is Ferrano. So, as indicated on the graphics, exactly as I've said, this is the battle for first position in the AM category, which is as hot now as the battle in the Pro category and overall was just a few laps ago between Bjorn Grossman and Babylos. And Babylos won that battle. So it'll be interesting to see whether Alessandro Vezzoni is able to get his own way here and get past the car of Martin Nelson. Takes a look up the inside just to try and harry Nelson into making a small error. That's all it would take, is a small error, and then like a viper, Vezzoni would pounce. Cars 88 and car number 11 both being told to respect track limits. Those are warnings going out to Florian Merckx and Robert Pergol. They are only warnings at this stage, and a number of cars have been warned, as we see, sadly, a retirement there of Alexis Di Bernardi, and that was Nicky Cadai, his driver coach, with the headphones on. We go back on board with Alessandro Vezzoni then, across the timing line. He goes. And they're still as close as they were as they head up into turns 1 and 2. This chicane, which we've seen both of them shortcut on occasions, as has just about nearly everyone in the pack at some point during the course of the race. And still, Vezzoni has got nothing really to take to this battle. Martin Nelson, as we see a super slow-mo of his car right now, the Auto Roper driver, driving really well. And there you can see Alessandro Vezzoni as he goes across the rumble strips on the curbs there. The wiper lit up, didn't it? Tommaso Roca in car number 97 there. Beautiful livery on that car with sponsorship there from MSC Cruises. And there is Christian Hobohm that was looking on, seeing how those drivers are doing out there as Bjorn Grossman. You can see the back end of that car just oversteering, as I should think his tyres jolly near shot to bits. So Babylos now, you saw him flashing his lights there. That's as he's coming across the, I think that's Lukinov, who will be the back-marking Lukinov that he'll want to get past. And there, whether Grossman has got a puncture, because the back end of that car is skitting all over the place now. Let's keep an eye on that. Well, Grossman comes through now. And, well, Babylos not held up at all, but just look how Grossman is really, really slowing now. And there, meantime, is the AM charge that continues for the P1 honours in the AM category. And now Alessandro Vezzoni just taking a look up the inside of Martin Nelson. Brake discs light up under protest as the pressure is applied to the middle pedal then of these 458 Evo cars as they slow for turns 1 and 2. Now they're into turn 3, the Curva Grande here at Monza. Absolutely flat out with Alessandro Vezzoni before heavy braking as we go into turns 4 and 5, the Variante della Roggia. You can hear the brakes squeal under protest, both of them going through that chicane without too much of a problem now as they head up to Lesmo 1 then, which is turn 6. Lesmo 2 is turn 7. And then the rest of the pack coming through, which not followed too much of the action because, well, up front in both the Pro and the AM categories, it's been so exciting we've had to stick with that. Car number 88, Florian Merckx, being shown a warning flag. Suspect that might be for track limits. No indication whether that is the case or not, but that's what our suspicion would be. Lap 14, the fastest lap for Babylos was a 1:52.598. Compare that with his last one, a 1:52.834, so he's slowed 3/10 or so, but there's only 3.5 minutes left to run in this race. It's Babylos leading from Bjorn Grossman. Florian Merckx is P3, he's been warned. Then we see Martin Nelson is P4 and Alessandro Vezzoni is P5. That's in the race overall. In the pro category, it's Babylos, Grossman and Merckx. And then in the AM category, it's Nelson, Bezzoni. Before it's Roker, who's P3 in the AM category. He's actually down there in P8 overall. On board with Sturzinger then, the Foytek Racing driver, who is P5 in the AM category. And Tommaso Roca then on John Ferrano ahead. Ferrano is a pro driver and Roca is an AM driver. And you can see the gap there between Roca and Segler. Two and a half minutes. The clock is counting down. Babylos, barring any disasters, has got this in the bag. And he is, well, some 5.4 seconds ahead of Bjorn Grossman. So should be fine with that. Meantime, we watch the battles through the rest of the pack. Battle for third in the AM between Roca, Segler, Sturzinger and David Gadri then. As you can see from the graphics on screen. Oh, that was a bit of a sideways moment for Segler, who carried just too much speed there. We go back on board with Alessandro Bezzoni. He's going to have a last charge on the number 13 car of Martin Nelson. It certainly looks that way. We've got 1.5 minutes left to run in this race, and we are on the final lap as we see Bjorn Grossman, who is P2, Florian Merckx. I wonder if he can sniff the opportunity of P3 here. I have to say, I thought Bjorn Grossman was really slowing. Did half wonder whether he'd got a slow puncture because the back end of the car looked really skittish, but I think actually it's just the fact that the tyres are absolutely worn. Babylos has controlled this since he regained the lead. Bear in mind, Bjorn Grossman took the lead right at the start of the race. All Babylos has got to do is finish this lap, and he will take a fine victory in TropheoPirelli. As this in replay from on board. But here is our race leader, Babylos then. The man that was racing GTs in Sweden and has come into the Ferrari Challenge this year and has made his intentions known from the very off, really. Set pole position, qualifying time, lost his P1 advantage in the first turn. Bjorn Grossman able to wrestle that P1 place away from him. But then when the opportunity, and it has to be said, he kept the pressure on Bjorn Grossman the whole time. When the opportunity came within his grasp, he seized it and has not looked back since. And if he does look back now, he can see Bjorn Grossman is some 5 seconds behind him. So Babylos having done a great job out there out front. As he cruises the 4.58 around the Monza circuit and heads towards the checkered flag to take the first victory in TropheoPirelli for 2015. It goes the way of Babylos in car number 55. P2 will go to Bjorn Grossman, who manages to hold on the Octane 126 car to take P2. P3 for Florian Merckx. Those three across the line are all pro drivers. Then we see Martin Nelson is going to take the win in the AM category. Alessandro Bezzoni will be P2 in the AM category. Then it's Pergel and Ferrano, both pro drivers, before Roca takes P3 in the AM category. So the first race in the Ferrari Challenge for 2015 done and dusted here at Monza as the checkered flag comes down. And, well, Babylos it is then, the Autoropa driver that takes the win. And a thumbs up there from Alessandro Bezzoni, the Team Pelin driver on board with right now. Spare a thought for Dario Carzo, who was in P3 and charging hard on the front two when something gave up the ghost on his car and he ended up having to retire. And it was, in fairness, his retirement that brought out the safety car. But Babylos well happy with that. Flashes his lights, the Autoropa logo across the front of the car. And Bjorn Grossman, well, really put a foot wrong, to be fair, but did lose out in the end to Babylos, who takes the win. Martin Nelson taking the win in the AM category. Then another happy chap, and Alessandro Vessoni, to be fair, chased him the whole way. Super livery on that car. Really do like that blue and gold. And we're on board with Alessandro Vessoni now, and I think he'll be the very first to say well done to Martin Nelson, because they had a real battle between them. Some super slow-mos then. Here is Babylos. There is Bjorn Grossman, the Octane 126 driver. And that replay from when he was in the lead. Barron service on the front of the Florian Merckx number 88 car. So he really attacks the curbs. And we go back on board with Alessandro Vessoni, the Rosso Corsa Pelham Racing driver. And we'll be heading up to the podium in due course. Andreas Segler, we just seen go through there, but those the P1 and P2 in the AM category. Mario Vessoni. So here we are then, the top three: Babylos, Grossman, Florian Merckx in the pro category. Then it's Nelson, Alessandro Vessoni and Tommaso Roca, the top three in the AM category. Auto Roper definitely having a great time of it today, taking P1 in both categories. They'll be pleased with that team. Me, was that looking a little bit darker overhead now. Did predict some showers this afternoon, but well, certainly hasn't affected this TropheoPirelli race, that's for sure, as the cars into Parc Ferme. Alessandro Vessoni we stay on board with. Dearly love to find out what happened to... oh, that's great to see. Both Babylos and Bjorn Grossman embracing each other there. They did a fine job together. Babylos, the winner! The Auto Roper driver, here comes Florian Merckx, about to take the door off. Not quite, as he moves into the P3 position there. And as I was saying, dearly love to find out what went wrong with Dario Carzo's car. Feel sorry for him, must say. Hey, that's racing. Florian Merckx is pretty chipper, isn't he? So too Martin Nelson, and deservedly so. Did a great job there. Being chased all the way by Alessandro Vessoni. So congratulations then from the teams and the drivers with mutual respect for each other, which is jolly good to see. Crash helmets and hands devices off. Let's take a look then at some of the highlights of that race, and there were many. They'll be coming our way in just a few moments. So, incidents are plenty. Let's take a look at them. So as the cars weave from side to side to get some temperature into the tyres, the lights went green, and the man that was going to be on a charge right from the very off was going to be Bjorn Grossman, and he managed to put himself in the lead. There were many that didn't make the chicane, and many that took a spin at that point as well. It was through turns 2 and 3. One of those being Alessandro Vessoni with a brilliant save from him. But Bjorn Grossman it was that led Babylos, absolutely furious that he got mugged right at the very, very start of the race. Dario Carzo retirement when he was chasing in third position. A great, great shame. But that would provoke a safety car. And indeed, the Hublot safety car was out. And from there on in, well, Alessandro Vessoni was going to chase and chase and chase Martin Nelson. And equally, Bjorn Grossman was going to be chased by Babylos and eventually passed by Babylos, who then went on to build a 5-second lead over Bjorn Grossman before taking the checkered flag to take the first honours in TropheoPirelli and Ferrari Challenge for 2015. From Bjorn Grossman in P2. In the AM category, it was Martin Nelson and this man, Alessandro Vessoni. So the crowd look on, having enjoyed a good TropheoPirelli race, and we're going to be heading up to the podium very, very soon. And 2 podiums in the Ferrari Challenge TropheoPirelli. We'll have a Pro podium and an AM podium as well. So the first 3 in the race overall were all Pro drivers: Babylos, Bjorn Grossman and Florian Merckx. And then Martin Nelson, Alessandro Vezzoni and Thomas Roca in the AM category. You can see the podium being readied there, and here the classification in full for you. AM, first of all, Nelson, Vezzoni, Roca, Segler, Sturzinger, then it was David Gadri, P6, Ramelli, 7, Palkra, P8, Lukinov, P9, and Alexis Di Bernardi, P10. Facebook.com/Ferrari, or do check out the website at corsaclienti.com, of course. So that the AM classification. We're seeing the Pro classification in just a moment. And then, of course, the podium ceremonies in full. Here indeed is the Pro classification then. Babylos and Grossman, P1, P2, Merckx, P3, Robert Purgel, P4, Ferrano, P5, David Gosner, P6, Carzo, not classified, and Steve Earle not classified either. Saw the retirement of Dario Carzo, of course. So going to be up to the podium next here at Monza. So the podium is readied. The fans look on expectantly, awaiting to celebrate the success of the drivers in the 2 categories in the TropheoPirelli, part of the Ferrari Challenge, the Pro drivers and the AM drivers. I suspect it will be Pro drivers first, and now I've said that, you know what's going to happen, it will be the AM drivers first. No, I don't think so. I can see Bjorn Grossman there, so... And our track announcer then gets ready to welcome the drivers out onto the podium, which of course sits out on the Monza circuit here. And the podium looking great, and drivers going to be up there very, very soon. Babylos, Grossman and Florian Merckx we're going to see for the Pro category. Christian Kinch and Tommy Lindroth there, 2 drivers from the Copa Shell category awaiting the podium. As to be said, Tommy looks more race ready than Christian does at the moment. Tommy in his overalls, Christian in his sweater. And one of the hard-working marshals, and we thank the marshals as always. Without them, we wouldn't be motor racing. Well, Babylos clearly very excited. Pardon, that was Florian Merckx, of course, for P3. Then it's Bjorn Grossman, who's going to take P2. But now, taking the top step of the podium, here comes Babylos. You can see the mistake I made. They look pretty similar, to be fair. National anthem time. So anthem plays out, baseball caps go back on, the Pirelli winners' caps. And it is trophy presentation time. Francesco Ferri, the circuit manager here at the Autodromo Monza, who makes the trophy presentations. Bjorn Grossman receives his, Florian Merckx already has his, and then the P1 trophy is reserved, of course, for the race winner Babylos. There he is. And the team's trophy going to The Auto-Roper team, who've done jolly well in that race, taking both the Pro and the Am, and here comes the Pirelli trophy. And then the bubbly will be sprayed. Of that, have no doubt. I think Florian Merckx is going to be the one that's going to be most aggressive with that. Photos first. Well done, chaps. Now, I was the one that said Merckx. Maybe not. So the celebrations continue atop the podium then for the TropheoPirelli. Next race, as you can see there, 1410 GMT, which is going to be Copa Shell Race 1. We've already seen a number of those drivers down there who have been supporting the TropheoPirelli guys up there on their podium. We've seen the Pro podium. Babulous, Grossman and Merckx podium will be ready now for the Am category. And then we will have the Copa Shell race a little bit later this afternoon from a warm but now clouding over Monza circuit. It's David Gosner who'll be ruining what happened to him. Finished overall down there in P13 as we see some shots, super slow-mo shots of the Florian Merckx gold liveried car. The Octane 126 machine of Bjorn Grossman. And then we'll see the race winning machine of car number 55. Babulous there, that super livery. The Auto-Roper driver. So as we speak, podium being ready then for the Am podium. Hopefully we'll be able to stay with you for that. Two races for each of the categories across the weekend. It's TropheoPirelli that have had their race for today. They'll be all set for qualifying for race 2 tomorrow morning. They'll qualify during the morning and then the race comes up tomorrow afternoon. But the Copa Shell race in the Ferrari Challenge still to come here this afternoon. Always said that here at Monza, that's always a bit of a bottleneck. It's always very, very busy through that first turn. And as you can see, cars going absolutely everywhere, trying to find their way around there without causing too much damage. Inevitably, one or two did go round. And Bjorn Grossman taking quite a lot of curb there as well. Speaking to the Octane 126 team, Bjorn is in for the season. Deal has been done and he's sticking with it. No, full campaign and they're going headlong in it to win the championship. So Dario Carzo, you can see there in car number 8. Have to feel sorry for him. His car packing up just when he was in a position where P2 and potentially even P1 might have been achievable. As the Rosso Corsa team look on now, and we get the Am category. Podium underway. And the winner of the Am category makes his way to the top step of the podium then. And well, they gave us a great race, that's for sure. And once again, we will pause for the national anthem. Well, there we are as we see the Am podium about to get underway. Thank you so much for watching. Join us a little bit later for the Copa Shell race, which comes your way soon.